Good morning, everybody. I see a few people here. Hello, Brian. Hello, Anne. We're a minute early or so. Give people a little more time. I believe you are all welcome to turn on your cameras or microphones anytime you want. Microphones, I ask that you wait until the end to ask questions. Cameras, I'm always happy to see you if you like to. Either way, welcome on this Saturday morning. Got another minute here. Hope everybody's having a nice day.
Hey Kenny, how you doing?
Good, Brian. How are you?
Excellent. Busy evening. Uh,
You had a busy evening?
Busy evening, yes, as usual.
Yeah.
And uh, oh no, I got it. Hold on, just a second.
All right. Anne, will you throw into the chat and tell me where you are?
Mm, Okay, I'm gonna turn. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, yeah, I already turned on my chat. Got it.
I just like to know where everybody's calling in from.
Uh, I'm trying to figure out how to turn on my camera.
Oh, there's usually a little button right next to the audio button. It looks like a video camera. And if it's got a line through it, it's off. And if you click on it, turn the line off, it's on. Unless you have like a different camera set up. It's all right, not necessary. All right, it looks like just us. So I'm going to get started. And if anybody else jumps in, they can join us wherever they're at. So welcome, Anne. Welcome, Brian. There he is. Wow, I haven't seen that face in so long. It's great. I don't know if you know Anne. Brian and I are old friends who just got re in touch this week. So super exciting. My name is Kenny Goldie. I am the creator of Debt Reduction Made Easy. I'm going to tell you all about why I created that as we move forward today. I'm really happy you're here with me today. This has been a passion of mine for many, many years to help people get out of debt. I know how hard it is to join a webinar anytime, anyway. I'm a leadership development coach as well, and I take a lot of webinars and a lot of trainings myself. And I know it takes a lot to see some ad on the internet and click on it and put a link in your calendar and actually show up. So thank you for showing up this morning. And particularly, I know how hard it is when you're in debt because I've been there. I said, I'm going to tell you about that. And when we're in debt, we tend to take on a lot of emotions and questions and doubts. And to be here at a webinar on a Saturday morning to learn about debt from a stranger, I appreciate you taking the time to do that. I want to launch in by kind of sharing a little piece of wisdom that I picked up along the way is that any time in life, whatever it is that you're doing, if it's something that isn't necessarily working for you, you have two choices. One choice is to keep doing what you've been doing. And sometimes that helps. Sometimes if you just hit the hammer against that rock enough times, it's going to make a crack in the rock and something's going to change. But oftentimes what we find in life is that when we keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, it kind of doesn't work. That our actions produce what they produce. But the idea of doing something different can be very scary because you're used to what you're doing and you don't know if something different is going to do something else for you. But those are really all your choices to keep doing what you've been doing or try something new. So, what I'm going to present to you today for people who are struggling with credit card debt is an option of something new that I have myself experienced and helped hundreds of clients experience over the last 15 years to great success. So that hopefully by the end of this hour and 15 minutes or so that we spend together, the something new will feel very, very familiar and possible to you. On a very high level, this is my catchphrase. You're going to learn every secret your bank doesn't want you to know about reducing credit card debt to far less than the amount owed. These are programs that they all have, but they don't share because their business model is to have you keep paying your credit card at full interest forever, not to pay them less than you borrowed from them. So they don't want to share it from you. But they all have this program because they all know that not everybody is going through circumstance. Hi, Anne, to be able
Uh,
to repay their credit card debt as agreed. And I'm going to have many letters in here today. This is an actual letter from a friend of mine who was a client who just had a baby 2 nights ago. I'm really excited about that. I redacted his name in particulars, but you can see he had a $26,000 balance that was settled for $9,000. So about a third, as we move forward today, I'm going to tell you about a third is likely. And he got this really great settlement, $200 a month over like 4 years. So it made it really easy for him to pay it back, and he paid back far less than was borrowed. Ultimately, I like to say you can save up to 65% less. That varies a bit, but that's what I've found the kind of common average when you go through the process that I am going to propose amount. And that's not a 65% settlement. That's 65% off. If you have $100,000 in debt, that's saving $65,000 and paying $35,000, or $10,000 in debt, saving $6,500 and paying $3,500. About 35% of the total is what I have seen to be very, very common. A little disclaimer up front, I am not a lawyer. Debt Reduction Made Easy is based on my personal experience going through debt and doing this process with 8 different US banks, and the experiences of my clients and what they've reported back to me, and my research into the banking industry. But it is not intended to be a substitute for professional or legal financial advice. I actually encourage you to go talk, to hear what I have to say, and then go talk to a bankruptcy attorney and or go talk to your accountant and say, hey, this weird guy on the internet just told me all this stuff. Is this real? And they will tell you that it is, for the most part, through the lens of whatever their particular agenda is. There are client testimonials in the presentation today. They are the unique experiences of those individuals. As I said, I think they're pretty common and average experiences, but everybody's experience will vary because everybody varies. You are going to approach this process in your way, and somebody else approached it in their way, and you're going to have your bank and your amount of debt and your finances. So every situation will be different, but the client testimonials that you will hear are real. This is for this seminar that we're in today is for anyone who's struggling with credit card debt. And among those, anyone who's looking for the fastest, cheapest way to get out of debt. Not everybody is. Some people are in a position where they have their debt, they have their income, the two make sense with each other, and they're fine just paying off their debt as intended for however long it takes. And that's great. When somebody is in that position, I fully support it. I think the banking industry is great and it provides a lot of awesome services to us. And that when we can participate in it in the way intended, that's fantastic. But there are also so many people out there. We're going to talk about just how many people are out there who are not in a position to pay off their credit card debt as intended through no fault of their own, most of them through no fault of their own. So they're looking for a way to get out of debt that's faster and cheaper than the ones they think they have. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And if you're not sure which those are, if you're just curious and you just said, hey, I want to learn more, stay and learn. And when we get to the end, I'm going to give you a free gift. And I'm also going to give you a surprise discount. There's going to be a portion in the program where I talk about the Debt Reduction Made Easy course. And when I first talk about the prices, it's going to be the prices that I've historically charged for them. But because you're here with me today, I'm going to give you a discount. So stick around to find out just how affordable it can be for you. And we're going to start off with my client and friend, Jerry.
Legitimate things happen, crises happen in people's lives. There's a road to follow to get your way out. And man, you provided a great roadmap for us, which was just tremendous.
Jerry and his wife had business debt, which is so very common. Their business took a turn. They had $122,000 in debt. They settled it out for $24,000. I'm very, very happy that Jerry shared his story with me. So let me tell you a little bit about how I became an expert in this. It started with the 2008 market crash. I am a businessman. I was in a business venture. At the time, I had a business partner who passed away in 2007. And when he passed away, it left me with a lot of personal debt that was supposed to be business debt. And I kept moving forward thinking this is all going to be fine. The business is going to do what it's going to do. And then the 2008 stock market crash hit and the business completely upended. And I was left with multiple six figures in credit card debt. I was paying about $3,600 a month in interest. I did not have nearly enough money to manage that for even just a couple of months. And that didn't even include my normal expenses. I was truly hurtling towards destitution. And I thought I only had a couple of options. Pay, meaning just every month get that bill and pay $3,600 and just wonder how is this going to sustain itself. Pray, which is what a lot of people do, play the lottery, hope the economy turns around, hope their business turns around, hope their job gives them a raise or they get a new job, that something is going to come externally and put them in a financial position to manage the credit card debt that they currently can't manage, or run away. And to me, run away at the time meant bankruptcy, go file bankruptcy. So I actually went to see a bankruptcy attorney. And I had a very interesting conversation with my bankruptcy attorney. The first thing he said to me was, bankruptcy doesn't eliminate debt. I was like, huh? I thought that's what bankruptcy was for. Bankruptcy, the way he described it to me, his word, not mine, and please run this by your bankruptcy attorney if you have one, is that bankruptcy is sort of like what he called a financial receivership. You turn your financial life over to the court, and the court then determines how to liquidate your assets and dispose of your assets to pay off your debts, leaving you with a little bit left over, and that varies state to state. But it's not just like, hey, make my debt go away. It's, hey, have collectors stop calling me to collect my debt. I'm going to let the bankruptcy court make my debt go away by essentially doing what I call debt settlement. The court is going to call your vendor, your creditors, and say, so and so borrowed this much, doesn't have that much. We're going to give you this much for it. They're negotiating settlements. They're just doing it through the court instead of you doing it yourself, which turns your financial life over to the court. And then he said, you don't need the court to do that. You can actually do the same thing yourself. You can call your creditors and say, I don't have the money that I thought I was going to have, and I can't pay back the debt that I borrowed in full on the timeline that you want. I want to negotiate a lowered amount. So essentially, bankruptcy and debt settlement are the same thing. It's just one is you're having the court do it for you, and the other is you do it yourself. And we'll talk about how those things differ. I decided rather than file bankruptcy, which has a cost to it in California at the time, which was like 15 years ago, it was $2,500 to file bankruptcy. I don't know what it is in California now, and it may vary state to state. And the cost of your attorney hourly and going to court, it was going to be many thousands of dollars to go through bankruptcy, even while settling out my debt. And I thought, I can try it myself. I really don't have anything to lose. And I wound up being very, very good at it. This was a $76,000 account that I reduced to $25,000. This was a $21,000 account reduced to $7,400, a $25,000 account reduced to $9,300. I did it so well that I eliminated my entire multi-six-figure debt in about 18 months. It would have taken me about 15 years to pay it off at the minimum monthly payment, which wasn't possible anyway. There was no way I was ever going to have enough money to pay off that debt at $3,600 a month for the next 15 years. I did it all in about 18 months and was 100% debt free. I wrote a book about it, The Do-It-Yourself Bailout, which I got published. And then I started getting a lot of radio shows and talk shows and podcasts and magazine articles and newspaper articles all over the country talking about this process so that other people could do it too. This is one of my favorites. This was the actual CBS News here in Los Angeles did a story on me. This guy's standing out in public.
Kenny Goldie has written a book. It's called The Do-It-Yourself Bailout. And if you are being buried by those finance charges on all your credit cards, this book is a must read.
Which really helped because a lot of people started reading it, and I started getting emails from all over the country from people who read the book. And the book is written as like my story, like I did this, and they just read what I did and started doing it themselves and settling out millions of dollars in debt on their own. This is my friend Nicole in Florida.
Something I'm really learning is like, especially as a woman, it's okay to use your voice. It's okay to be able to say what you legitimately have in your bank account and that you can try to settle this out in a way that is healthy for me. Not healthy for the banks, but healthy for me. What will get me back on my feet? What can I actually afford? What can I actually do? And what I'm starting to realize is there's more leeway than you think. You have more power in this process. And just by that alone, I would recommend doing this if you're looking to get your power back away from money and these institutions that feel like they can kind of suppress your power, which is, I know that sounds kind of dramatic, but if you really think about it in your own life, what's your relationship to money? You're probably giving your power away to some institution.
So on a very high level, let's talk about what debt settlement is. And it's just kind of a definition. It's negotiating a payment that's less than the total debt that the bank or your credit card company treats as full settlement of the debt, releasing the borrower from future payment obligations, interest, or collections. I'm going to pay you less than I owe you. They say, okay, we'll take it, and your account is closed. And I know you have questions. Many of them I know you have because I've heard them so many times. How much can I save? How long does it take? What does it happen? What happens to my credit score? We're going to talk about all these as we go forward. We're going to talk about um, how much can I save first. So I just use the number $100,000 there because it's a round easy number to do percentages on. But in your head, whatever your amount of debt is, you can kind of calculate how this would look for you. But if somebody has $100,000 in credit card debt, and I'm not making up these numbers. This is just a phone app, easy calculator app that I just used their credit card payoff calculator to see what these numbers are. I put in $100,000 in debt, a 25% interest rate, which is very, very common these days. Many are even much higher. It told me that the monthly payment's $2,600 a month. And these are the interesting things to look at. At the minimum monthly payment, it's going to take 78 months, which is 6.5 years, to pay off that debt. And by the time that borrower has paid off that debt, they will have paid more than $100,000 in interest on their $100,000 in balance, which means $100,000 borrowed is actually going to cost $200,000 to pay back over 6.5 years if you're making that minimum monthly payment. If you go the route of debt settlement and you negotiate what I think is the common average amount that you can get to, 65% off a 35% settlement amount, then you pay $35,000 to the bank. You have no minimum monthly payment. You can do it in my experience, 6 to 18 months instead of 6.5 years. You have really no interest. You have a small amount of interest when you go delinquent because they still charge interest on your card, but then that stops. And instead of a $200,000 total payment, you've saved $65,000 in principal balance and $100,000 in interest. You've saved $165,000 over what you would pay just paying the bank minimum monthly payment forever. And again, if you have $50,000 in debt, divide those numbers in half. If you have $10,000 in debt, divide the number by 10%. It holds the same for every situation. And if you ever want to stop, you can. If you ever go down the road of negotiating with your banks and decide, I really don't like this, or praying did work and I did win the lottery, or I did get a job, or it's just not for me, or I got an inheritance and I have the money, you can always just say to the bank, hey, I'm going to get current. Here's my whole back balance. I'm current again. Let's keep going. And if that doesn't work, you can always file bankruptcy. So given that getting current and filing bankruptcy were still options, I really had nothing to lose and everything to gain, which is why I went through it and did it so successfully. But here's the reason that I started Debt Reduction Made Easy. I did it alone. I did all of that alone. I went through that dark tunnel by myself, hitting every pitfall and scary spot alone and stumbling to learn how it worked. And I wanted people to not have to do it alone. And this is what I really want everybody in debt to understand. You're not alone. There's this thing about debt where we tend to feel isolated. We tend to feel like, how did I get here? I didn't expect to get here. Some people keep it secret from their parents or their kids or their spouses or their friends because they feel like they did something wrong. You are not alone. This is an article from just a couple of years ago. Nearly half of Americans are using their credit cards to cover basic living expenses. That's not what credit cards were intended for. Credit cards were intended to be the convenience of putting a credit card down at dinner instead of taking out cash or back in the day writing a check. And then there are all those MasterCard commercials in the day. Hey, if there's that once in a lifetime event you can go to that you can't really afford, use it on your MasterCard because the experience is priceless. It was for convenience. It was for big, unusual expenses. It wasn't meant to cover your gas and your electric bill. And I'm not talking about just running things through your credit card to get miles. I mean, people paying for basic things on a credit card because they don't have the cash. 1 out of 2 Americans are doing that. Nearly 20 million Americans, which is like 1 out of 6 Americans, are behind on their utility bills. 75% of Americans missed credit card payments during COVID. That's not just people out of work. That's not just poor people or people who can't manage their finances. That's 3 out of 4 people on the road driving next to you. This is an epidemic in America. In 2018-19, before COVID, the national credit card debt, the total amount of outstanding debt on credit cards in America was about $800 billion. Just 6 years later, it's $1.2 trillion. It's gone up by 50%, by $500 billion, $500 billion in 5 years because the business model of people's lives isn't working anymore and they're using credit cards to pay their expenses and getting in situations that by not their fault aren't manageable. And that's when I created Debt Reduction Made Easy. So I'd written the book back in like 2010, and then COVID hit and 40 million people were out of work, and all my old readers started writing me going, I need help. So I decided to create a program that wasn't just me telling my story in the original book, but a new book that actually said to people, these are the steps that you go through to do it, and spreadsheets and a video course, which is what we're going to talk about today, and all of these materials to really give you every tool you need to go do this yourself successfully. Here is my client, Mark.
I pulled out all these little fragments of here of, techniques that they're going to use against you. And I wrote down these tiers of they're gonna be nice, they're gonna be friendly, they're gonna get emotional, they're gonna threaten you, all these things, so that when it was happening, I had it right on a piece of paper in front of me on my desk. And I was like, oh, that's where they are right now. And I didn't get like blindsided by it. So I had a lot of, I'll say, administration sort of backing me up, spreadsheets, scripts, all my sort of my anchor datums that I would like rivet in, and kind of built myself a platform on how to really move forward.
So I want to talk about, and I believe that these will apply to anybody who's on these calls. The top 3 reasons I see why people stay in debt forever. Mark talked about this a little bit just now. One is that they're emotional about their debt. We're going to talk about in that detail. What does it mean to be emotional about your debt? 2 is they're worried about their credit score. I mentioned people worried about their credit score when it comes to debt settlement. And 3 is they just don't know about debt settlement. They just don't know that it's an option out there. Or maybe they've heard about debt settlement companies and debt relief agencies, and they think, oh, a business will do that for me, but they don't know they can do it themselves. So I want to dispel all of the myths about all 3 of these things so that just on this call, you get all of this information that will help you release your emotions about the debt, know everything you need to know about your credit score in relationship to debt settlement, and know that you can do this yourself and not necessarily need to pay an agency many, many thousands of dollars to do it for you, so that you can make an informed decision about whether something like this is right for you. So let's talk about emotion. I know this is true because I went through it. People have emotion about finance anyway. People don't talk about how much they make or how much they bought their car for or how much they got their house for. There's this like social zeitgeist that we don't really talk about money openly. And then when it comes to debt, there's all the fear of being judged, whether it's by friends or family or colleagues or even by ourselves for getting in a difficult financial situation. I know for me, there was some shame and guilt and embarrassment. Oh, I had this business, my partner died and I lost it, and how'd I get here? And we have a lack of confidence when we think about talking to a debt collector, a professional debt collector who we think is trained in doing this. Who am I to talk to somebody who does this for a living? And that leads to insecurity and anxiety, and all of these emotions build up inside of us when we're in debt. And they can be very, very crippling. One of the things I say to people when they're in debt is your first goal is not to get out of debt. Your first goal is to get out of the negative emotions of debt. Because when you're living in the negative emotions of debt, getting out of debt is very, very hard. But when you let go of the negative emotions of debt, seeing a path to getting out of the actual debt becomes much easier. So your bank treats debt like a business. It is a business. They are in the business of debt, and they have no emotion in it. They follow the law and the numbers. That is it. Notwithstanding commercials that you see for your bank with kids with kites running through a park with mountains in the background and soft music, and the bank saying, we're all about relationships. The only reason they say they're about relationships is because they want the relationship of your money. They are not in a personal relationship with you. They're in a financial relationship with you. They're treating debt like a business. So here's the solution, the absolute solution to letting go of the emotion of debt. You must also treat debt like a business. There is this dichotomy that banks treat debt like a business, but we individuals are supposed to treat debt like a personal thing, like it's got a moral imperative to it, like it's about us as a person. And that is crippling and putting you at a disadvantage when it comes to getting out of debt. You have to look at your debt as a business. Let go of the emotion, follow the numbers and the law. And what I like to say, one of my catchphrases, is be the CEO of the corporation of you. You are the corporation. Brian Kinsley, Inc. And you have a responsibility to yourself and your family and your life to get out of debt and manage your finances for your personal future and success. Your job is to get out of debt as quickly and inexpensively as possible. And when you start treating debt like a business, you can actually start taking advantage of laws that exist to help you that many people don't take advantage of because they treat debt like a personal imperative. When somebody is in default on their credit cards, you will get a letter. It happens automatically stating your rights as a borrower. This one is in California. This is the state of California Rosenthal Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. But I want to point out this federal Fair Debt Collection Practices Act that applies to all 50 states, that enumerates things that debt collectors can and can't do and rights that borrowers have and don't have. And many people won't take advantage of the laws that exist to protect them as borrowers. They won't even file bankruptcy because they think there's something wrong about filing bankruptcy, when bankruptcy is a law that was created to protect people who are in debt. And the Federal Fair Debt Collection Practices Act is a law that was created to protect people who are in debt. The same way there are many, countless thousands of laws that are passed every year to protect banks and their ability to collect interest from people. You treat debt like a business the same way a bank does, and you start to put yourself in a position to meet the bank on an equal playing ground. Rick went through a divorce and was left with $18,000 in credit card debt, and he had 2 little kids that he had to raise, and he settled out his debt for $3,500. And Thomas reduced his debt from $47,000 to $12,000, and Rob reduced his debt from $150,000 to $33,000. They all did this because they started off saying, this is not about me. This is not about shame or guilt or fear or anxiety or insecurity or right or wrong. This is about the law and the numbers. And as the CEO of the corporation of me, I have a fiduciary responsibility to my future and my family's future. And I'm going to treat debt like a business and become the CEO of the corporation of me, meet my bank on an even playing field, and get myself out of this situation. And they all did it successfully. Second reason people stay in debt forever. They're afraid of their credit score going down. Oh my God, we're so terrified about our credit scores. People have this emotional attachment to their credit score. I think there was literally, I haven't double checked this, but I heard about it once, literally a dating website for people with credit scores over 780. Like, go find love through matching to somebody who has a high credit score. We're taught to think that if we have a high credit score, we're a good person. And if we have a low credit score, we're a bad person. And there's a reason for that. There is a reason that we see media teaching us that our self-worth is tied to a high credit score. I don't know if you ever saw these commercials. They were made 20 years ago when the credit reporting websites came out, like freecreditreport.com. Their whole business model was, come to our website to see your credit score, and while you're there, we're going to give you credit card advertisements. Banks are their sponsors to give them money, to give credit cards to people by getting them to their website. And these guys used to sing this song about how if your credit score is low, you're going to be working at the Renaissance Fair and living in your parents' basement and completely unlovable. They were literally telling you you are going to be a failure as a human being if your credit score is low. This is another one, same business model. 2 strapping guys in the Superman pose with muscles and credit scores near 800, and they make the guy with the 5'8", a dumpy, fat, bald guy literally wearing a horror movie hockey mask. If that is not meant to embed in people the emotional belief system that you are a loser if your credit score is low, and your spouse will see you a loser if your credit score is low, I don't know what could be more clear. And they do it for a reason, because they know they cannot reach through the telephone and force a borrower to pay them. The only thing they have to go on for people to repay loans to them is that person's personal sense of individual identity in paying back. And when that's fulfilled, fantastic. Like I said, if the business model of your life is working, go for it. But when it's not fulfilled, for them to tie your personal value as a human being to your credit score is media manipulation, and it's done intentionally. So the way to get out of that emotional attachment to your credit score is to start thinking of your credit score as a tool. And not only that, but as a tool that has more than one use. The usual use for a credit score is to give you access to more credit at a lower interest rate. If you have an 800 credit score, you'll get more credit cards with higher balances at lower interest rates. If you have a 500 credit score, you're going to get fewer credit card offers at lower potential borrowing limits at higher interest rates. But if you're not using your credit score to go get credit and more borrowing power at a lower interest rate, there is another tool. And most people who I meet in my work are not out looking to get more access to credit. They're not taking out new credit cards. They're not asking for higher limits on their credit cards. They're not using their credit cards because they're in credit card debt. Or if you're not looking to buy a house, if you're not looking to buy a car, if you're not looking to take out a business loan or a student loan, which are the four primary areas for your credit score. I know landlords run them. There's a couple other little minor areas, but for the most part, it's to get out loans. And if you have your house or you're not buying one, you have a car, you're not buying one, you're not taking out loans, you're not losing your credit score for that first tool. There is another way to use it that will save you far more money than the money you will save using it the first way. The first way, the way a credit score saves you money, is if you're going to buy a car for whatever amount it is, and you're going to get an interest rate that's a little lower over time. The idea is I'm going to pay less in interest. That's how a high credit score saves you money, by paying less in interest. But people don't really go through the numbers. I come back to this. CEO of the Corporation of You, go through the numbers. So I'm going to go through the numbers on this example again. Somebody with $100,000 in credit card debt, or cut it in half, or 10%, or whatever it is for your balance in your head, paying their monthly payment, 6.5 years or whatever it is for you to pay off. And you can check, by the way, how long it's going to take to pay off your credit card. Each month when your statement comes, on the front page will be a box that says, if you make the minimum monthly payment every month, it will take you X years to pay off this balance. So your credit card company will tell you every month how long it's going to take you to pay off your month and how much total interest you can pay. You can run it through an easy calculator, or just go into your file cabinet or your computer and look at last month's credit card statement, and it'll tell you these numbers for you. This person's going to pay $200,000 total on that $100,000 in debt. And at the end of those 6.5 years, they're going to have an 800 credit score, and they will have struggled in their life for that entire time if their financial situation hasn't changed. But they're going to get to the end of it, and they're going to get a little emotional cookie. They're going to feel good about paying off all their credit debt over 6.5 years, and they're even going to feel good about giving a bank that extra $100,000 in interest and feel good about their credit score still being at 800. Or this person who went through debt settlement, paid $35,000 instead of $200,000, had zero monthly payment for those years because they were able to put that money back into their life, was debt-free in 6 to 18 months, saved $165,000. They're going to have a 500 credit score, but they're going to be 100% debt-free and stress-free because they'll be out of debt in 6 months to a year and a half instead of struggling with debt for 6.5 years. And now let's look at what that actually costs them. So this is the same car loan. If you want to buy a $25,000 car and you keep your credit score at 800, you're going to pay, I'm putting in here about 5%. I don't change these cards every time interest rates change. I know now the interest rate you might get with an 800 score might be a little bit higher. What I'm really showing is the comparison. So let's say that interest rates are at the point where with an 800 credit score, you'd get a 5% interest rate. You'd have a 60-month loan or term, $25,000 loan. Your monthly payment on your car is going to be $471 a month. And at the end of the 5 years, you're going to have paid $3,300 in interest. So $28,000, $300 on your $25,000 car loan. Now let's say, but this person has paid their entire credit card debt and all of the interest on their credit card debt and struggled with their debt for years in order to be able to buy that car with the 800 credit score. Now let's take the person who settled out their debt, saved 65% on their principal, 100% on their balance, and their credit score has fallen to 500. Again, I know this interest rate will be like 10 or 11% now, but it's the comparison I'm showing. So let's say in the comparison, they're paying 4 points higher because they have a 500 credit score. Same 60-month loan, same $25,000 car loan. Instead of paying $471 a month, they're going to pay $518 a month. So they're going to pay $50 a month more. And at the end of the total loan, they're going to pay $3,000 more in interest. Instead of $3,000 interest, they're going to pay $6,000 in interest. And that car is going to cost them $31,000 instead of $28,000. So just basic math. Let's not even take the person who had $100,000 in debt. Let's take the person who had $10,000 in debt. One of them is going to pay off that $10,000 in debt and pay another $10,000 in interest and pay $20,000 over 6.5 years and struggle and stress the whole time to save $3,000 later on buying that car. And another one's going to pay $3,500 to settle out that debt, save $16,500, be debt free in a year and a half, stress free the whole time, have a 500 credit score, pay more for that car, and pay $3,000 more in interest after saving $16,000 in debt. And if the person has $50,000 in debt, you can just do those numbers. I'm not saying that that's the route for everybody. I'm saying everybody should look at it through the lens of being the CEO of the corporation of you and running the numbers. And then people say to me, what if I want to buy a house? It's the same concept, just bigger numbers. If somebody has $10,000 in debt, but they want to buy a house in a year, I'm not going to tell them to settle their debt and drop their credit score to 500. I had $222,000 in debt, and over 15 years, it would have cost me over $500,000 to pay off that debt with interest. Even if I had the money to do that, my settlement saved me $430,000 in principal and interest. It was worth it to me to do that, even though I did buy a house later on and pay a few points more in interest on my house, because even those few points more in interest on my house didn't add up to the nearly $500,000 that I saved. So it's all about looking at it as the CEO of the corporation of you and running the numbers and looking at the law and the numbers and saying, what's the best road for me to get out of this if I remove the emotion from it? Stephen eliminated $50,000 in debt. This couple eliminated $120,000 in debt. Here's Mark about using the
Go
quotes.
through your book, and yeah, there's certain things that I have, highlighted in here and starred and notes on them and stuff, because I didn't have enough stability to know what I could do and what was possible. And without knowing the what was possible, I would have compromised on something a lot less.
So those are two of the top reasons that people stay in debt forever. They're emotional about their debt and they're letting their emotions drive them and make their decisions for them instead of the numbers and the law. They're worried about their credit score going down and haven't run the numbers to see how they can use their credit score as a tool in another way that saves them a lot more money than saving a few points in interest on the car they're going to buy in 5 years. And the third reason is they don't know about debt settlement. They've just never heard about it, like me 15 years ago, or they've heard about it on these radio and television commercials, but they just don't think it's for them. And there's a reason that they don't think it's for them. Debt settlement agencies do not want you to know what I'm telling you. If you've heard some of these ads, there are literally radio ads that say there are secret government programs that banks and credit card companies don't want you to know about. It's as if they're positioning themselves opposite from the bank, but they're also not telling you what the secrets are because they want to have you pay them to do this for them. I'm telling you right now off the bat, there are no secret government agencies or government programs about getting out of banks and credit card debt. There are government programs to help you with your home loan if you're in trouble. But when it comes to credit card debt, there is no secret government program. It is a bold-faced lie in these television ads. They don't exist. All that exists is the law allows people to call up anybody they're in business with and renegotiate the terms of their agreement. And if you're a lender who needs to renegotiate the terms of your agreement with your borrower, you have the same right to do that as if you're a tenant in a building with a lease and you want to call up your landlord and renegotiate the terms of your lease. Nobody says, oh, you bad person, how can you want to renegotiate the terms of your lease? But they say, oh, you bad person, how can you want to renegotiate the terms of your credit card borrowing? But the two are equal. You can call up anybody you're in business with and renegotiate the terms of your business arrangement. All these agencies want to do is have you pay them to do it for you. They literally say, see if you qualify. This is an actual screenshot. See if you qualify for debt relief. The only qualification that agencies have is that you have a minimum amount of debt to make it worth their time to call up your bank for you and make money from you. That's the only qualification. They're never calling up the bank saying, does this person qualify for your program? There are no programs. They're seeing if you qualify for them to make it worth your time to pay them money. If you're struggling with credit card debt, if you want to reduce or eliminate your credit card debt quickly, if you want to be free of the negative emotions of debt, you qualify for doing this. The reason agencies want you to think that what they do is special. They want you to think that they have access to something that you don't have. They want to make it sound special and scarce and scary and make you feel like you can't do it yourself. Their advertisement makes it sound hard. See if you qualify. See if we can do this for you. See if we'll let you in our special gate so that you will pay them a lot of money to do it for you. So let's talk about just how much money these debt relief agencies make. They charge about 20% of your total debt. Their terms usually say 15 to 25%. Again, an actual screenshot of an actual debt settlement agency saying in here, fees are based on a percentage of your enrolled debt at the time of starting the program and range from 14 to 25% of your enrolled debt. And I want to make this very clear. They don't charge the percentage on how much money they save you. I wish they did. I wish that the agencies charge the percentage on how much money they save you, because that would incentivize them to save you more. The more they save you, the more percentage they get. But they make their fee on your total debt. So again, using that person with $100,000 in debt as a round number, if the agency's charging 20%, they get $20,000, whether they settle your debt for 30% off or 50% off or 70% off, which means it's in their best interest to settle your debt for a worse amount for you, because they can do it faster, because they get the same amount of money, whether they can get a 30% settlement in 3 months or a 70% settlement in a year and a half. Their goal is to get the least beneficial settlement for you as quickly as possible and have you take it so they can close the file and move on to the next person and make their fee. And when you add in their fee, they have to state this up front. They're saying here that our clients realize approximate savings of 46%, which means if you have a $100,000 debt, they're settling it for $54,000 before fees. And by the time they take out their fees, you're really settling for about 25%, which is not, they call themselves debt relief agencies, but to me, not very much relief. My experience with hundreds of clients is it doesn't take much to get a bank to offer a 50% settlement. It can come in about 3 months. They're pretty quick. They start at like 90%, 85%. They come down a couple months to 65%. And usually in 3 to 6 months, they'll come to 50%. And these agencies are telling you up front that that 50% is what you should expect, so that when they get the 50%, you're happy that they've gotten it for you and they get to close your account quickly and take their fee, and that's it. So let's run the numbers. I'm always about running the numbers. If you use an agency, and again, it's just a round number for easy math, but whatever your debt is, you can change these numbers in your head. $100,000 in debt settled at the 50% that the agency says they're going to get you. You pay 50%, so $50,000 to the bank, and about 20% to the agency of the total debt, so $20,000 to the agency, which means your total payment is $70,000 in 3 to 6 months. I don't know about you, but when I was in debt, I didn't have $70,000 for every $100,000 in debt. To me, the person who's struggling with debt doesn't have 70% of their debt to settle their debt, but that's what the agencies charge. As the CEO of the corporation of you, your best interest is not to settle as quickly as possible for a higher amount. Your best interest is to take your time, to go through the process with courage and confidence until you get to the point where the settlement amount is more, so that you can save more money. And again, I say 35% is the average. I have had people settle in the 40 to 50% range. One of my cards was a 44%. I've also had people settle in the 10 and 20% range. I don't think it's common at all. Like out of hundreds of clients, I've had one get 10%. So I'm not here saying to expect a 10% settlement. 20%, 25% I've seen, but it takes much longer and has more risk to it. I like to say 35% is the good common average target within the reasonable 6 to 18 months. And that's the number that I use. So for that $100,000 in debt, somebody's going to pay $35,000 to the bank, 0 to an agency, which means your total payment is $35,000 in 6 to 18 months instead of $70,000 in 3 months. You save twice as much money negotiating a better deal with the bank yourself and not using an agency. And this is the part that people always miss. When you turn your life, your financial life over to an agency, it's just like turning your financial life over to the court in bankruptcy. You don't get to process any of the emotion. In fact, it creates more anxiety because if you're going through bankruptcy, you're constantly calling your bankruptcy attorney saying, "What's going on? What's going on? Where are we? Where's it at? What's going on? When am I going to be done with this?" And when you turn it over to an agency, it's the same thing. You can go on to the Debt Relief Agency Facebook pages and see all the comments. And yeah, there's a few there that say, "Thank you so much, this worked." But most of them say, "I called 100 times, nobody would get on the phone. I can't get any answers. It's going on forever." That process is normal. It takes time. But when you do it yourself, you know what's going on. You are the one in control. You are the one talking to the banks. You are the one being the CEO of the corporation of you. So when you're done, not only have you saved twice as much money, but you've processed all of that shame and guilt and fear and doubt and stress and anxiety about money so that when you're debt free, you're in a financially courageous, confident position to go start rebuilding your financial life. When an agency does it for you and they call you up and say you're out of debt, you're in the same place and not able to move forward. So both financially and emotionally, taking control of your life has for me been the path that has helped people so much more.
You just gave me so much more confidence. Like you just gave me a peace of mind, realized that this is a strategy.
So let's talk about what that strategy actually is. The solution to number 3, the solution to people not knowing what debt settlement is to learn it. And that's why I created Debt Reduction Made Easy, to teach you how to do it. And I know, again, you may be thinking, I'm like Johnny Carson in the old days with those Karnak things. He can read minds. I can read your mind, Brian. I don't know how to negotiate, people think. I don't know how to negotiate. I teach you how to negotiate. I teach you every step of the negotiation. Not only that, I teach you the scripts. I had 8 banks I was negotiating with. And one of the things I learned early on that helped me through this process is I would be on the phone with bank number 1 and I would hear them say something, and I'd be on the phone with bank number 2 and they'd say the same thing. And then I'd be on the phone with bank number 3 and they'd say the same thing. And I started to realize not only are these debt collection agents on the phone who work for the bank working from a script on their computer, but these scripts have all been written by the same consultant. I have not been able to find out who that consulting agency is, but it's clear that there's some consulting agency out there getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars to go to banks and say, "We have crafted out the scripts that work best to get people to give you money sooner and more." And I show you those scripts so that you know what to expect in those negotiations. People think I don't have enough money to make a settlement payment. Oh my gosh, Kenny, you're talking about I have $50,000 in debt, 35%. You're talking about $18,000 to pay it off. I don't have $18,000 to pay it off. I don't even have $500 to make my minimum monthly payment. I show you. I have a whole portion of the course about how to target what I call your debt settlement fund over time. Remember, it takes 6 to 18 months to negotiate down to 35%. So I show you how to take advantage of those 6 to 18 months where you're not paying your minimum monthly payment to the bank and you're not paying interest to reclaim that money and find other money in your life that you have, I guarantee you do, but probably don't realize you have in areas that it's being wasted, so that over time you can build that debt settlement fund to meet your debt settlement amount at the time that it comes through. I heard you can get sued. You can. It's in the course. I got sued twice. And I'll tell you this, I never went to court. I learned how to get sued. I learned everything about what the summons looks like, how you respond to it. I learned the whole process. It's all in the course, and how to still negotiate a settlement with your bank even after you've been sued before you've ever gone to court. And I've had clients get sued. No client of mine has ever even gone to court. Some have gotten sued, but nobody's ever gone to court because I teach them how to get out of the lawsuit before they go to court. Will this work if I'm married? Yes. What if I'm a widow and I got debt from my husband? Yes. What if I have business debt? I just want to be a little clear on business debt. When it comes to an individual who has a business, your business debt, I'm almost certain, I don't want to say 100% because I don't know, maybe there's an exception out there, but I'm almost certain that you signed a personal guarantee for your business loan. So if you go open I'm a coach, I want to start a coaching company and I want to take out a credit card in the name of my coaching company. It may be in the name of the company. It may even be in the name of an incorporated company, but if it's you and your company, the bank lending to you had the documentation say there's a personal guarantee for the loan, which means the bank doesn't care that it's through your company. They're treating it as personal debt, so it will work. The place where it doesn't work is if you're a true corporation, like whatever, Apple Inc., and Apple Inc. has credit cards and you're the CEO or somebody at Apple Inc., it's different. In that situation, that's a business to business thing that's handled differently. This process isn't quite the same. There's a high level negotiation that goes on to restructuring hundreds of $1 million in debt that doesn't include this work. But if you're an individual with a company and you have a credit card in your company name, more than likely that credit card is actually a personal guarantee, which means it's actually personal debt. Will it work at my particular bank? I have yet to have any client at any bank say their bank doesn't do it. I've even had clients call up and say, I called my bank and they said they don't do it. I'm like, just keep going through the process. 2 months in, they say they don't do it. Keep going through the process. 4 months in, hey, guess what? They offered me 85%. So the we don't do it wasn't true. It was just their toeing the line in their script until they got to the point where they would do it. That said, I do put in the caveat of I have not worked with all 15,000 regional little banks across the entire country. There may be some bank out there that doesn't do this, but no major national bank and no side bank and no app bank and nobody that I've come across yet has not gone through this process. And how to deal with all of it is in the course. Everything is in there.
As soon as you stop making the payments, then the phone calls start. You get a letter, started getting the letters from the actual creditors. And then later when they flipped them over to a collection agency, without your book and information, I wouldn't have known how to deal with them. What terminology to use, what things to ask for, what actions to take. So that book was so practical and it just gave me the tools.
So if it's not clear yet, I hope it comes across. I really want to help you. I've been doing this for 15 years. I've not made a fortune at it. That's not my goal. I just got an email yesterday. When we're done, I'm going to do something I never do. I'm going to unshare this screen and pull up an email I received yesterday. People signed up for this weekend seminar. I sent out emails to everybody on my list, and one of them wrote back, hey, I got your course 5 years ago, and I settled, I think it was like $38,000 for $7,600. You did it yesterday, or told me about it yesterday. I love it when people tell me that their lives have been changed because they've gone through a process they didn't know about. This is Nicole talking about that.
He has this beautiful course. First, I have to tell you how grateful I am for that course. So he has this beautiful video course that he kind of walks you. He has this beautiful course.
Oops, sorry, hit the button.
I have to tell you how grateful I am for that course. So he has this beautiful video course that he kind of walks you through it. And Kenny, you're great on camera. The way that you encourage, it's practical. It also speaks to emotional and mental health. I found it extremely complete. Like it was really comprehensive.
So in essence, the course is very much like our time together this morning. It's me on camera. Look, same glasses, same no hair. With deck cards behind me and videos and graphics and illustrations to teach you this process directly. On a very high level, what you get in the course is, as I started off saying, every secret that banks and debt settlement agencies don't want you to know about settling credit card debt for less than the amount owed. What you're going to get on a more personal level is a debt-free life. I am very proud to say, as far as I know, I have a 100% success rate. The only reason that people who go through this process don't succeed is if they stop going through the process. But everybody who I have been in contact with around my material, who's told me where they're at, has succeeded in eliminating their debt, which gives you more money to put towards living your life instead of sending in credit card payments, and gives you the courage and confidence that transcend your finances. The reason I got into coaching business executives is because I started coaching people in debt, and I started learning so much about how to coach people through the emotions that were crippling them in their lives that I went, hey, I can get people out of debt and get people to go be more powerful in their lives. And this is where I would like to really share with you what the course actually contains. And I am going to show you the prices that the course had as I was building it. But remember, stay tuned because there's going to be a big discount at the end for being here with me this morning. So the course consists of numerous videos. The videos range from like 30 to 45 minutes each. They're pretty in-depth and comprehensive. They're not meant to sit down and watch the whole thing in a Saturday, you watch a video and you do a little exercise and you learn about it. And you watch another video and you do another and you learn about it. And then you watch it as you get into the process and you're calling your banks and you can go back to them. Hey, I want to rewatch the negotiation video. Hey, I want to rewatch the history of banking video and give yourself the guidance and the confidence as you go into these phone calls. So you get the 6 ways to get out of debt, 2 parts. I made them when I first made them and sold them to existing clients. All my videos were $147 per video. You get the top 5 fears of debt settlement. We talked about the 3 reasons people stay in debt. There's more to go through. We talk about all the emotions. I have this thing called Get Clear on Your Fear, where the video actually has you like peel away the layers of the onion to find out, what am I really afraid of? And when you overcome that fear, it's such a big relief. And then you're on the phone call, like not worried about the conversation that may have once terrified you. There's a whole video on the accounting and how to go through your personal finances and prepare yourself to meet that debt settlement fund and that debt target amount. Strategies people talk about. I have multiple cards. I have 1 card. I have a business card. I have a personal card. How do I approach them all? There's 2 videos on the strategy of it. I went through the history of banking. This was a personal thing for me. Like if I'm going to treat my debt like a business and meet my bank on an even playing field, I want to know what my bank knows. So I did a deep dive into the history of credit cards and banking and finance and money. And I share it all with you so you sort of understand in a way that the average layman does not know what credit actually is and how it actually works. And in those videos, I go into a lot of detail in just how much your bank is treating debt like a business, up to and including there is still in the United States no national law that caps how much interest a bank can charge when lending. It doesn't exist, which is why there are payday advance companies that charge 600% interest. The only thing that sets the level of interest rates on credit cards is market conditions, what people will pay. If everybody in America tore up their credit cards today and refused to take out another credit card and said to their banks, I'm not signing up until you give me a 4% interest rate, in 30 days, credit card interest across the board would drop to 30%. Now, I'm sure that that would drive Wall Street crazy and upset the financial institutions and the whole economy. But the only reason credit cards are at 25, 29, 34, 38, 54, 65, 70%, some of them, is because people take them. And the only thing that keeps them wherever they are is that one bank knows if my interest rate's too high, somebody else is going to take another card. All of that is in the banking videos. I go through debt collectors. We heard Mark talk a little about their intimidations. They have patterns of speech in their script designed to poke at your insecurities, but I show them to you. So when you hear them, you kind of laugh a little bit and go, well, I was expecting that. That's not going to work. I talk about how you respond to those intimidations in your negotiations. I talk about what happens if you get sued and how to get out of that before you go to court and how to protect yourself with a settlement agreement document when you're done. I talk about how to make the payments to protect you. I talk about credit repair in the course. I talk about tax implications. It's all in there. If you were to just add up the price of each of those videos, if you were to have bought them one at a time, it's over $2,500. That's not what I'm going to be offering to you today. I put in 2 books for free. My original book, The Do-It-Yourself Bailout, which is my story of how I settled out the debts with my cards, and then also the Debt Settlement Easy Business Plan, which is my kind of flipped around how you do it step by step. Those are both in there. I created this spreadsheet. I'm very proud of it because I'm not an Excel expert, but I actually taught myself Excel enough over a couple of weeks to create this spreadsheet where you just put in your income sources and your debt, your payments, your other expenses and your expenses, and it calculates for you what your debt settlement target amount is over time and how to build your debt settlement fund over time and run those numbers by just changing your inputs, and it does the calculations for you. I'm very proud of it. There's a lot of worksheets within the course, and I give you a workbook for free so that you have all those worksheets there in one place for you. If you were to add up the books and the videos and everything, it's over $2,600 in value. But again, I'm going to discount all of that today because you've woken up early on a Saturday morning to spend this time with me. So let me show you what that's gonna look like. You have 2 options for joining Debt Reduction Made Easy. One is to get the video course, which is what we've been talking about for the morning. And the other is to get the video course with a once a month online, like this Zoom call that's not private. It's whoever's enrolled in the program. So there may be other people in there. and me or one of my other coaches. And the Zoom calls are not meant to teach the program per se. It's the videos that are meant to teach the program. The Zoom calls are there for Q&A, personal experiences. Hey, I called my bank and they said this, and I wasn't used to those words. Or share wins. Hey, I just settled, and let other people in the community know that you settled. So I offer the videos alone, do it yourself, and the videos with that monthly anchoring to get some hand-holding and guidance as you go through. If you do the video program, you get everything we've talked about, the videos, the workbook, the spreadsheets, the book. It's lifetime access. This is not a subscription that renews every year. Once you're in, you get it forever. I use a membership area. So when you sign up, you get an email that says, here's your login to your membership area. You click that link, it gets you into your membership area. All your videos are there as a program. Each video has the worksheet attached to it. You'll see where you can download the workbook and the spreadsheet. It's all there in your membership area. The normal value, again, over $2,600. I have a package value that I've been charging, but this, again, I'm going to give you a discount above the package value. But if the original price of everything a la carte over the years was $2,600, the package value that I've been using is about $800, $797. And then we can talk about how the monthly subscription works. So you get all of this, all of the same, but instead of self-guided, you also get access to a once a month, 1 hour group mentoring call with me. Again, that $2,600 a month total value. I put in plus $750 a month. That's my 1 hour coaching rate with my executive client. So it's the equivalent of a $750 coaching call. And the package value, instead, when you sign up for the monthly coaching, I instantly give you 50% off the video price. So if you just get the videos, the normal package price would be $797. If you get the videos and the coaching, it's half price for the videos and about $200 a month for the coaching. So it's kind of like getting your first 2 months of coaching free because you get that $400 off the video price. And then here's the surprise discount. Because you woke up early on a Saturday morning to join me, I'm going to give you another 50% off of all of that. So it really comes down to, if you want the video course alone, self-guided today with me today, it's only $398 for everything that I've shown you forever to allow you to go have anytime you need access to them to get yourself out of debt. And if you want to join the monthly coaching as well, still you get 50% off the videos. Signing up today would just be $200 for the video course, which is insanity, but I love it because it gets people to actually do it, and $98 a month. And if that's something that you know you want to do, when you go to the start page, which is www.debtreductionmadeeasy.com/get started, I'll leave that up there for a second if you want to write it down, but you're going to see it again as we go forward. But debtreductionmadeeasy.com/got started. There'll be a little form there where you enter your name and email address first. And when you click submit, it'll take you to the purchase page. And then you'll see the $797 for the videos and $398 and $197 for the videos and coaching little radio buttons there. You click the radio button that you want, and then you enter this code, training special 50, into the coupon box and hit apply. And you'll see those numbers drop down to these numbers. So just a little kind of like numerical calculation for you if we're going to go through the numbers. If all that this course did was settle out one card. I have many clients who have multiple cards, 5, 6, 7 cards, different debts settled out in different amounts. They'll have a $10,000 debt and a $6,000 debt and an $18,000 debt and a $20,000 debt and a $12,000. It all adds up to whatever it adds up to. Take your least amount of debt in your head, the smallest card that you have. I use $10,000 as an example because that's the minimum balance that a debt relief agency requires you to have to work with them. So I want to do an example that's comparative to that. If all this course did was help you settle out just your smallest debt balance at 35%, in this example, saving $6,500 in principal and $10,000 in future interest, a total saving of $16,500, would that be worth investing $198 in the video course and $98 a month to learn how to do it? And again, I think the average person is going to finish this in 6 to 18 months. Even if I stretch it out to 2 years to get it done, your total investment would be $2,200 total over 2 years. Would that be worth investing in yourself to learn how to save $16,500 even on just your one smallest account? And then think about all of your accounts or your total debt. all added up. You using your numbers. If you save 65% of the principal balance, pay 35% to the bank, and another 100% in future interest, and you end your monthly payments from the beginning and put all that money back into your life and get 100% debt free in 6 to 18 months, would that be worth investing $198 right now and $98 a month to learn how to do, or $398 right now to learn how to do without the programs? And again, I already did this math. If you were to go see a bankruptcy attorney, I'm going to use a very, very average attorney rate of $500 an hour, and sit down with that bankruptcy attorney and say, hey, tell me everything you know about debt settlement. My program, all the videos take up, it's like 12 or 12 and a half hours. If that attorney were to just sit from 8 in the morning to 8 at night and talk for 12 hours, there is no way he would still be able to cover all of the information that I give you in the course. But this whole program, if you go 2 years of it, costs you less than 4 hours of a bankruptcy attorney, giving you 1,000 times as much information. This program works whether you have one account or many, whether you're current on your accounts or delinquent on your accounts. As I said, almost any lender. I really think any lender, but I just have to put that in there in case there's some bank out there that I've never heard of. Single or married, employed or not, lost your job, lost your business, after divorce, after all these interest rate hikes and all of the inflation that we're going through, this works. The only time I have seen this method not work is when people don't do it, because debt doesn't go away. There are some things in life that go away on their own. If you scratch your arm, it's gonna heal in a week. There are some things in life that fix themselves without paying attention to them. Your debt won't. Your debt isn't going away. The options are pay in full, and there are a lot of different things that people talk about paying in full. I know people hear about debt consolidation loans. Debt consolidation loans is still paying in full. It's just getting a lower interest rate for all of your loans and putting them all together in one lower interest rate, which is going to save you some interest over time, but you're still paying the full debt and all of that interest. I know Dave Ramsey has like 30 different ways of settling debt. They're all pay in full strategies. The snowball one of pay the lowest amount first and pay off that card, and then take that payment and add it to your next payment, and you've doubled your payment, and pay off that card, and then take that payment, add it to your third payment. It's still a pay in full strategy. There's many, many strategies for pay in full, but they're all pay in full. Or pray that some circumstances in your life is going to change, or run away and file bankruptcy. But your debt's not going away by itself. And if you don't choose something proactively, your debt's kind of going to choose for you. The circumstances that you're in will choose what happens to you. And what I don't want to happen to you is you wind up getting sued without expecting it, or you wind up being forced to file bankruptcy without being able to plan for it. For those who desire to get out of debt as quickly and economically as possible, with as much control, you taking control of the situation, you're willing to put in the time and effort and create that mindset of success, which I will help you do. This process works. It's going to save you all the time and money and mistakes and effort that I went through. I like to think of this debt settlement journey as a dark tunnel that people are scared of. If you ever go to a haunted house on Halloween, it's like dark and scary, and there are noises and shadows, and you're scared. I turn the lights on for you. If you've ever been to that haunted house on Halloween and someone turns the lights on for you and you realize that scary sound is just some 6-year-old kid with a glass bottle and Freddy Krueger claws on, scratching it like this, and the shadow that was so scary was just a rubber chicken hanging in the wall with a flashlight on it, like, it's not scary anymore. I have learned all of the mistakes so that you will know them in advance. I turn the light on that tunnel so you see it as it's coming, and it empowers you to go through it successfully. So if you know that this is for you, go to debtreductionmadeeasy.com/get started, enter your name and your email address, go to the second page, enter that training special 50 code in the coupon box, click apply. You'll get 50% off everything to learn every secret that banks and debt settlement agencies don't want you to know about reducing your credit card debt. You'll get immediate access. I do have a little caveat here. There is the option to pay with credit card, obviously. And when you do, you get an email immediately with your login information to go get started right away. There's also the option to pay by bank account, which is like an ACH transfer from your bank account if you're not using credit cards. What I've heard from some clients when you use the ACH option is that it doesn't go through immediately because Stripe, which is my payment processor, wants to confirm your bank account in ways that you've probably seen in the past. They're going to make like a 1 or 2% deposit into your bank account. You're going to get an email from Stripe after paying by bank account, and you're not going to get the confirmation email for the material right away. And it usually takes a day or two to get that email from Stripe and then wait for them to make that deposit into your bank account. You have to go look in your bank account and get their little code and reply to their email. And then the purchase goes through, and then you'll get the email giving you access to the course. I have heard some clients, not all, but some, who pay by bank account go through that process. So I just want to prepare you for that. If you're paying by bank account and you don't get your confirmation email from me right away with your login, look for that email from Stripe on how to complete the confirmation process, and you'll get 50% off, $398 for the video course, or $198 for the video course and the monthly mentoring. DebtReductionMadeEasy.com/get started. And as we started with, you have two options. You can keep doing what you've been doing, and if that works for you, I really want it too. If you're able to keep paying your debt off at full at interest and that's not causing a struggle in your life, please keep doing it and succeed and keep your credit score high if that's the route that you want to go. If you have an opportunity to make more money, a new job or a raise, and you think that's going to help you, go that route. If bankruptcy is the right choice for you, and again, I recommend everybody go talk to a bankruptcy attorney and tell them what you've learned from me and let them tell you themselves what bankruptcy really is and that you can really negotiate on your own if you want to. Some will steer you in slightly different directions. I had a great bankruptcy attorney who said, go do this, but a lot of bankruptcy attorneys, their goal is to get you to hire them to file bankruptcy for you because that's how they make a living. So be aware that they may shade the ease of bankruptcy versus the ease of debt settlement in that way. They may say doing it on your own is hard. That's why we have bankruptcy. That's why you have debt settlement agencies. Hear that through that lens, that their goal is to get you to hire them. Or they may be completely forthright about what debt settlement is, as mine was. I don't want to label all bankruptcy attorneys as trying to steer you in one direction or another, but they might because that's their business model. But again, there is no way out of debt. If you don't choose something, your circumstances are going to choose for you. And that's where the second option comes in, which is trying something different, investing in yourself a little bit to acquire the knowledge that will help you overcome fear and build the confidence so that you can use that knowledge and that confidence to become 100% debt free and try something new. And then people say, well, I got a couple of reasons that I'm still a little skeptical. What if I buy this video course and it doesn't work? So I give you a guarantee. If you purchase the video course, I give you 3 days to watch the videos. 3 days aren't obviously going to give you the opportunity to go try the debt settlement process, but watch the videos and confirm for yourself that what I am telling you about the quality of this course is true. That when you get a few videos in, you start to go, oh yeah, okay, this is good, real stuff that's going to help me. Wonderful. And if you watch the videos for 3 days and you go, you know what, this presentation didn't match in product what the promise was, just email me back at support@thedoityourselfbailout.com and I'll refund your money, because I'm not in the business of trying to make $400 to have somebody keep something that isn't working for them. I'm in the business of having people love this material and settle their debt and send me emails down the line saying they're debt free and their lives are happening in ways that they love again. So you have 3 days to watch the videos, total guarantee. I'll send your money back. I want you to get started. And then so that concern is out of the way. And then people say, what if I do the mentoring and that doesn't work? What if I come once a month at $100 and I get down the line, I still haven't worked? So I offer a guarantee. I say that if you attend the mentoring for 24 months, I guarantee that at least one of your lenders is going to offer you at least a 50% settlement, which is the same that a debt settlement agency is going to tell you. A debt settlement agency is going to say, we're guaranteeing, they don't even guarantee it. They say, we promise you at least a 50% settlement. And then they charge their fee for getting that 50% settlement. Without charging the fee, I'm going to say the same thing they say. I guarantee you're going to get at least one card for at least a 50% settlement, which will more than 10 times your investment in the course, most likely based on how much debt you have, or I will continue allowing you to stay in the monthly coaching for free until they do, which means I guarantee you at some point you will settle out a card that will save you more money than this program will cost you because I'm going to work with you for free until they do. So that is out of the way. So you really have nothing to lose except your credit card debt. And as I said before, no one's ever asked for their money back. So this is my favorite slide in the whole deck because, as Brian knows, I come out of the movie business.
Me, help you.
Help me help you. I really want to say to people, my goal here is to have you send me an email in 2 years telling me you're debt free and you are loving your life and on the road to financial success. That is my goal here.
I'm really grateful for you, Ken, and I really am. You've been my guide through this process, and at first it was scary, but just having your voice in my head while I'm in these calls is priceless. It really just truly is. And I will tell you that it's worth every single penny. And, because you're doing debt settlement, you can't charge a really large thing because you're getting people out of debt. And it feels like a bit of a labor of love. And it is. And I'm very grateful for it.
So I said at the beginning, this is for anyone struggling with debt, anyone looking to get out of debt. And if you're not sure, to just stay and listen. And if you know this isn't for you and you want to keep doing whatever road it is that you've been doing, I just really, really, from my heart, thank you for joining me on this Saturday morning. And I did promise that I would give you a gift. So I'm going to give you my debt reduction made easy spreadsheet. If you just go to www.debtreductionmadeeasy.com/free-DRME-spreadsheet. I'll leave that up there for a few more seconds. The best is if you can just take a screenshot of it, or if you write quickly, write it down. If you go to that website, you can download the spreadsheet for free. You can enter in your income and your debt and your expenses and start calculating your debt settlement fund over time, and it will calculate for you what your target amounts are. You'll love the spreadsheet. Hopefully you'll leave the spreadsheet and say, this is so great. I want to go get the course. But this is my free gift to you, debtreductionmadeeasy.com/free-DRME-spreadsheet. If you sign up for the course, it's in there, so don't worry about that if you're signing up for the course. But that's my free gift for you for staying with me. And if you know this is for you, if you're ready to treat debt like a business and let go of the painful emotions of debt and take control of your financial life and invest, I believe, a very small amount in yourself to learn all the secrets that will help you treat debt like a business and get out of debt quicker than any other road there is and save more money than any other road there is, go to debtreductionmadeeasy.com/get started. Put in your name and email on the first page. Click submit. Second page, put in this training special 50 in the coupon box. Click apply. You'll see the prices drop from $797 to $398 for the video course, or $190 or $398 and $197 a month to $198 and $98 a month for the video course and monthly coaching. And this is where I say, if you have any questions, please, I'll stay on for a few more minutes and answer any questions you have.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Actually, two questions.
Sure.
If you do the negotiation and you get it down to a reasonable amount, can you just is there any penalty to, like, you get it down to, like, I don't know, $3,000 or whatever, you're down to, can you just go and pay that off without them freaking out? Or do you have to continue with the payment process all the way to the bitter end?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Oh, okay. If you renegotiate from, let's say it's $20,000 debt, and you
Right.
renegotiate it to 10,000 or 8,000,
Yeah.
and you get that, can you just go, fuck, I can afford that, and do 8,000 and just pay it off
Well,
all at once?
that's the idea. So yeah, you don't
Oh,
have.
okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I think I understand your question. You do
Mhm.
not have to go all the way to 35%. You can settle at any amount that you want that works within your budget. So for instance, when you use that debt reduction made easy spreadsheet, the last page is going to say, here are all my cards. Here's the percentage that I'm targeting for each of those cards. Here is the amount in actual money that each of those cards will cost to pay, and the total amount that I believe I can pay to settle out all my debt. And then let's say one of those cards, you're trying to get your 35% settlement, and they get down to 45%. So I'm just going to use round numbers. Say you have a $10,000 debt and you're shooting for a $4,500 or $3,500 settlement, and they come down to $4,500. If you say to yourself, hey, I just made $1,000 last week and I'd rather pay them the 4,500 and be done with this card than keep going to 3,500, you just say, yeah, I take your 45% offer and let's close. So you can close at any point you want to close in order to achieve your goals. And I actually do say to see people sometimes, even though it's sort of fun to like target that 35% and feel like you've succeeded, at a certain point, I say get out of percentages and get into actual money. Because I've had clients who are like, they're so focused on that 35% and they're down to 38%. And that last 3% is like $450. And I'm like, for 400, if it's $4,500 and you don't have it, go another 2 months to get down. If it's $400 and you have it, don't stick your stake in the ground for having to reach that next hole. Like take what works. So yes, you can take their offer at any stage that you want to take their offer. It's just that this program will help you determine what you can afford to take their offer at and how to get to the point where it works for you. But you can always choose to take their offer earlier and pay them more. Their goal is to get you to take their offer sooner, is to get you to pay them more money faster. That's their goal, to get you to pay them more money faster. And if you choose to do that, you can at any time.
Mm.
Okay, 2 questions. You said you had a second question.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So second question. This doesn't have to do with you're so impressive. I'm everything you do is always blows my mind.
That's not a
But
question.
this okay, so the question is you mentioned the government assistance for mortgage early on, maybe like for somebody in Anne's position that got basically beat up and robbed by her husband.
Mhm.
Do you know of where or how, any information like that she could go that route too? Because the mortgage, I think, is another thing that's hurting her. I'm sorry to speak for you, Anne. I'm just guessing.
I don't. I've never looked into it.
Uh-huh.
If you Google government mortgage loan assistance, or you go to the Housing and Urban Development website, I'm sure you'll get somehow directed to that. And I'm going to throw in the caveat these days of a lot of government programs are getting stalled and upended and defunded right now. So I really can't speak to where that program is at all. It's outside of my normal realm of expertise anyway, and not something I have any current information on.
Just because you dabble, I thought maybe.
Yeah, no, I haven't looked
Okay,
it up.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
I have a question like, let's say, um, I'm gonna start like doing that. Do I need first right now like to cut off paid my credit card? Um, like the minimum or something like that before I'm gonna start working to any credit company?
Yes.
Like,
So it is, and I go through this in detail in the course. In order to negotiate a settlement on your card, you must stop paying your credit card. And the reason for that is not because I say it's necessary, it's because that's what the bank requires. The bank is never going to say to you, while you are currently making your monthly payment, hey, you can settle out your account for less. As I said, it's the secrets they don't want you to know. They will not offer to a borrower who's making that monthly payment at full interest the opportunity to settle their account. They require you to stop paying your card and go delinquent on your card in order to be transferred to the department that will negotiate with you. In fact, they likely won't even tell you that they have a department that they can transfer you to do this. If you were to call up your bank and say, hey, can I settle this out for less than I owe? They're not going to say, oh, sure, let me transfer you to that department. In fact, I tell a funny story in the course about the first time I did it. I called up my bank after my attorney said you can do this. And I said, hey, I'm really struggling with my debt. I understand you have programs where I can settle it out for less. Can I talk to them? And this is what the guy said. I'll never forget it. He said, we have a department that will do that for you, but I can't transfer you to them while you are current on your credit card. And I said, are you telling me to stop making my credit card payment? And he said, no, I'm telling you, we have a department that will do that for you, but I can't transfer you to them while you are current on your credit card. So this is them making it hard for people when they want it, when somebody hears that, what happens inside their head and their mind and their heart and their body is, oh my gosh, I have to go delinquent on my credit card. And all that emotion and all that fear and all of that identity attachment to credit card payments and staying current on debt and credit scores fills them up. And they're terrified to not make their monthly credit card payment. And they will get a very large percentage of borrowers who really could benefit from a program like this to not go down that road because they're scared to not to stop making payments on their credit card. So your bank will require you, they won't say it, but they will require you to stop making credit card payments. And in fact, you don't need to call them up to ask. You would just stop making your payment. And after you do, in a couple of days, you're going to get an email from your bank saying, it's going to be an automated email saying, hey, we saw you missed a payment. Click here to make that payment. And you're not going to make it. And in a couple more days, you're going to get a phone call from somebody going, hey, we heard you missed a payment. Let's get that set up today. And I teach you in the course how to respond to them when they do that. And you're not going to make it. And then you're going to start getting calls from the collection people. And then it's going to go down the road that the course teaches you to be familiar with. But the ultimate answer is yes. The good news about stopping making those payments is that you get to keep that money. However much money you're sending to the bank every month right now, and whatever struggle that 300 or 500 or 800 or 1,000 or 2,000 or whatever it is dollars a month you're sending to the bank right now, you don't send to them anymore, and you get to start using in your life while you're negotiating a settlement with them.
Well, because I talked to I just like negotiating right now with the bank. We have like I have like eight almost like 8,000
Mhm.
like a personal loan,
Mhm.
and which is my ex-husband's gone out of country,
Mhm.
so I just tried to negotiate with them with the banker,
Mhm.
and he said to me that, well, I can, because I have we have a HELOC, the second mortgage, with
Mhm.
a same like a PCC with Ventura Credit Union. And then he said to me that just paid for 3 months for the HELOC, and we can do together with your HELOC and then your personal loan, and I can give you the discount, the monthly, which is my monthly for the personal loan like a 200 something. And then he said, I can negotiate with you, I'm a banker, and whatever that you can afford the monthly payment, which is maybe I can negotiate like, the monthly payment for less than 100 maybe.
Mhm.
I don't know yet. So I'm trying like to figure out, because they wanted to put together, because
Yeah.
my HELOC right now is a fluctuate, and I did not know about that. I'm just do
Yeah.
research because I don't know
It's
all
okay.
of the stuff, but
So
I don't know what is the different for that.
this is what he's trying to do. And a lot of HELOC loans will say to you in their advertising, take money out of your house to pay off your credit card, which is beneficial in one sense, because if your credit card's charging you 25% and your home loan's at 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 or 7%, you will pay far less interest on what was a credit card payment if you roll it into your home loan. And for people who are in good financial health and have the money to make those full payments every month and aren't in financial difficulty, the idea of rolling high credit card debt into your home loan to pay a lot less interest can be a very beneficial thing. However, it takes what's called unsecured debt and it makes it secured debt. He is putting collateral against your personal loan that currently doesn't have collateral, which means you can't go through this process. If you were to default on your personal loan, you would be able to negotiate a settlement on your personal loan and it would have nothing to do with your home because the personal loan doesn't have the collateral of your house attached to it. If you were to roll your personal loan into your HELOC, now they have collateral against that $8,000, which means you can't go through this process. Now, if he's going to say, I'll reduce your HELOC payment by the $200 a month that you're paying on your personal loan, and you wind up paying the same amount monthly for the HELOC and the personal loan together as you, I should say a few $100s less for the HELOC and the personal loan together as you would pay for the HELOC and the personal loan separately. And that payment is manageable for you and you're good making that payment monthly over time, knowing that over time you will pay off both the HELOC and the personal loan, that's a viable strategy if it's what works for you. But that's the strategy you will wind up in, is that your unsecured debt will now become secured debt, which means you won't be able to negotiate a settlement on the personal loan. It will now be part of your home loan.
Well, actually, as I understand, because I do not much know um about borrowing the money. It is my first time after I got divorced and learn everything. Like I did not know, like I'm very clueless about all those, loan until I just like encountered like this. And I don't know what is the difference for like a loan, a home HELOC, they put it to the bank, which is the BCCU, and we have a personal loan there. But as I understand from the banker, only she wanted me to hope about the personal loan, like from 200 monthly, some more than 200 monthly, to reduce the monthly payment until I can recover. But he's not saying about the HELOC, but that HELOC is like still I paid to that bank. So I don't know if I can negotiate, but he said that if you want like to, because your HELOC is a flex way, you can do like um refinance for your HELOC to
Right.
going down your monthly payment, and which is right now that maybe which is that what I'm gonna do
What
because it's a
what what
flex way.
what's your HELOC percentage right now?
It's a flex rate. That's what she said. So whatever that the market is, the interest, that's what I'm just paying. Like last month, I paid like a some s- 3 months ago, I paid like a almost 300, and then last month I paid like a 300 something. So
Yeah.
there's no fixed
Yeah, but
payment.
he's basically just saying wait for interest rates to come down. Interest rates are very high
Um,
right now. They're at 7 to 11% on home loans right now. And 6 years ago they were at 2%. And in 6 years they might go back to 2%. And when they do, your monthly payment will go down and you will pay less interest on that home loan. But waiting for interest rates to go down is not a very good strategy for wanting your home mortgage payment to go down, because right now in our current economy, there's no sign that interest rates are going down anytime soon. And even when they do, they could go back up again. In any case, I would recommend this my course, because when you watch the videos on the history of banking, you're going to learn a lot more about why your bank is trying to talk you into doing the things that they're trying to talk you into. Education on banking and finance is the first step to understanding the position that you're in as a borrower.
and more question. Let's say the bank is doing the negotiate to me like about all what I owe in the credit card. Do you think they're gonna add that one to your income later on at the end of the year? Like maybe 1099 because they reduce your what you owe to them or something like that.
Yeah,
They're gonna give
so
you
yeah, that exists. One of the videos is on tax implications. The IRS treats debt negotiation settlements as income. It's because the IRS doesn't treat loans as income. So if a bank gives you a $10,000 loan, you don't report on your taxes that you made $10,000, because loans aren't treated as income. But if the bank gives you $10,000 as a loan and then says you only have to pay back 3,500, that's $6,500 that the bank gave you that you didn't pay back, the IRS now treats as income, which is accurate. You made money that you're not paying back. So they're going to tax that money, which is true. However, even if you calculate in the taxes, it's still far less than paying it all back in full. So let's say somebody makes, I'm just making up a round number, say $50,000 a year, and they're in the 15% tax bracket, and they have a $10,000 credit card, and they settle it for $3,500, and the IRS treats that $6,500 as income. In the 15% tax bracket, you're going to pay $1,000 on that $6,500 that you settled, which means you saved $6,500. You paid $1,000 in taxes. You've still saved $5,500 even after paying the taxes. And the truth is, most of my clients whose income and debt are in a place they're not paying much in taxes anyway. And there are some other tax strategies that an accountant will show you to not have to pay even the taxes on the debt. But that's not something that I have the time to go into detail about here, but it is in the video course in the video on taxes, and you can always talk to your accountant about it. So yes, the IRS will treat settled debt as income and tax it, which, well, they should. It's money that somebody gave you that you're not paying back. But even when you settle out the debt and pay the taxes, you're still paying far less than you would if you paid off the full debt and all the interest on the debt.
Okay. So what is the difference that the consolidation versus a debt settlement?
Consolidation still paying off your whole debt. It's just like if you have 5 credit cards and one's at 12% and one's at 25% and one's at 35% and one's at 18% and they're all current and you have a high credit score, you can go to a bank and say, hey, all my different cards together add up to $40,000. Will you give me a $40,000 loan? And with that $40,000 loan, I'm going to pay off all those other cards, but now my whole $40,000 is with you at hopefully an interest rate that's lower than the average of all the other interest rates. So if all the other interest rates averaged out to 22% and this new loan's at 12%, you've now consolidated all of your debt into one place at a lower interest rate. So you're paying less over time in interest, but not much less. If you have $40,000 in debt, the truth is, over the 10 years it's going to take to pay off at whatever their minimum monthly payment is, the difference between a 22% full interest average and a 12% might be $3,000 that you save in 10 years of paying off your debt. And at the end of the whole loan, you'll pay $78,000 to pay off the 40 instead of $81,000. Those are rough numbers in my head, but that's what consolidation is. It's not debt reduction, it's just interest rate reduction.
Okay, so thank you for that. Last, oh, maybe I don't know if it is the last, but well, your program right now is like focusing about like the debt settlement without don't care about the credit score, right? Like right now, we're not talking about your credit score. We're just like doesn't matter or doesn't care like if your credit score going down or we're just focusing about the debt settlement until that after that before it's gonna fix your credit score. That's what we you are
Yeah,
in this.
after you've settled out your debt, for a while your credit score will naturally rise a little bit, and then there are strategies to remove the debt settlements off your credit score. And over time, like, when at the bottom of my debt settlement journey, my score got down, I think 508 was its lowest, but it's now in the 700s and has been for years.
Oh, so it's just the same like also like they like what I'm just saying is we're because I'm just like worried about my credit score. Like I thought, like while we're just paying the settlement, it's not gonna affect your credit score, but it's not gonna work
Well,
that way
when
then.
the bank requires you to stop making your payment in order to negotiate a settlement, because they know that when you stop making your payment, it's going to affect your credit score, and they want you to be afraid of your credit score going down. So the reason they require you to stop making your payment is so that you will be afraid of your credit score going down, so you won't do this. That's their strategy. Do you own your home?
Yes,
Do you own a
yeah.
car?
We already paid off the car. I already paid
So you
off.
own a
I don't have
car?
any car. No.
Okay, you have no car
Only
payment?
like no, I don't
Okay.
have any car payment.
Do you need to take out a business loan?
I have a business before, but right now, because of those divorce, I need like to cut and drop it.
Okay, but you're not looking to go to a bank and ask for money for your business?
No,
Do you
at
need to
this
take out
time.
a student loan? Do you have a child going to college that needs a student loan?
Yeah, well, my daughter is almost like she's gonna be senior
Hmm.
and next year she's gonna be in college. So how that one is gonna affect that
Well,
for her or for me?
are you planning to take out student loans for your daughter to go to college?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I don't have, yeah, I don't have like done the research about that, whatever. Like, if how we can, me and her, to survive, if we need like necessary. I don't think so. I'll try. I don't know yet,
I mean, if
like
she's
about
going
the
to a community college, like I live in LA, like a
she's
Sun,
thinking,
it's affordable. If she's going to Princeton and you need $200,000 in student loans, that's a different issue.
so it's gonna affect her then. If
Well, maybe, maybe not.
mm,
If you are going to sign off and be the borrower of student loans for her and your credit score is low, it will make the interest rate on your student loans a little higher. If she is going to borrow her student loans herself without you as the borrower, your credit score will have nothing to do with her borrower's agreement. Federal student loans are guaranteed. They call them GSLs, guaranteed student loans. So it won't stop her from getting a loan, but it might have her pay more interest on that loan if you're using your sign off on the loan and your credit score is lower. But again, I would always say get the course and watch the videos and understand what that all means in more detail so you can look at it and say and run it by the numbers. You know, you might say $8,000 in credit card debt to settle for about $3,000 and save $6,000 isn't worth potentially paying more on my daughter's student loan that year. And that's a viable choice for you to make, but a choice that you will make better when you know what the whole process is.
okay. Um, yeah.
All right. So
Good.
at this point, I'm going to say thank you guys for
Thank you.
Thank
joining
you
me.
so much.
I hope you get the course. If you get the course and the coaching, that's where you'll get to see me once a month and ask all these questions. Everything that we're going through right
Okay.
now, you will have access to me once a month to go through this process because more questions will come up as you go through it. And as always, my approach is to just give you information, but it's impossible for me to give you all that information here in a few questions when all of that information exists in the course. My goal is for you to digest the course and take in all that information and then come ask me questions from the place of already having the information instead of me asking questions about things that I already give you the information in the course.
Okay. I will.
All
I
right.
think I'm
Excellent.
just
Yes,
it.
she can get the program, and I'm going to buy you a cocktail. So there we go.
Even better.
All right, bro. I really appreciate it. Thank you
Thank
so much for
All
you
taking
right.
so
so
much time. I feel like, yeah, privileged. We got your special webinar all by yourselves.
You did. I never know. Sometimes 20 people show up, sometimes two show up. Sometimes I do it by myself and I just record it and throw it into the area. I never know. But I keep doing it because people keep succeeding at it. So it's fun for me.
That's badass. Good for you.
All right. Nice to
All
meet
right,
you,
well,
Ann.
Thank
all right.
you
We'll
so
talk to you soon.
much.
Bye.
All right, dude. Okay, bye.
Bye.